Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Raksha Mantri ji will be with us shortly, requesting you all to please settle in for the final time and please turn off your mobile phones or put them on silent. We're expecting Honorable Raksha Mantri ji in some time, requesting you all to please finally settle in. Good afternoon to everyone present here today. On behalf of Innovations for Defense Excellence, IDEX, Ministry of Defense, I, Anshul Singh,
I, Chitra Khatri,
Program Executives, welcome you all to a flagship defense innovation event, DefConnect 4.0. Honorable Raksha Mantri ji and esteemed dignitaries will be with us shortly. Meanwhile, I request you all to please take your seats and put your mobile devices on silent. At this moment, Honorable Raksha Mantri is witnessing futuristic technologies developed by our IDEX winners. Today, we are showcasing 13 innovations ranging in the domains of munition systems, ISR, communication systems, and space technologies. These innovations developed by IDEX winners are a testament of evolving defense innovation ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored by the presence of Honorable Raksha Mantri, Shri Rajnath Singh Ji. Please join me in welcoming with a huge round of applause, Honorable Defense Minister, Shri Rajnath Singh. On behalf of Innovations for Defense Excellence, Ministry of Defense, we extend a very warm welcome to one and all to DefConnect 4.0.
इस विशेष अवसर पर माननीय रक्षा मंत्री जी की उपस्थिति हमारे लिए बड़े सम्मान की बात है। सर, हम आपका तहे दिल से स्वागत करते हैं। माननीय रक्षा मंत्री महोदय, आप वह प्रेरणा स्रोत हैं जिन्होंने आईडेक्स को रक्षा में आत्मनिर्भरता की दिशा में अपनी यात्रा के दौरान हमेशा मार्गदर्शन किया है। आज के इस कार्यक्रम में आपकी उपस्थिति ने हम सभी को, खासकर स्टार्टअप्स और आईडेक्स विजेताओं को नए उत्साह और प्रेरणा से भर दिया है। इस प्रतिष्ठित आयोजन के लिए मंच पर विराजित गणमान्य व्यक्तियों का स्वागत करना मेरे लिए सम्मान की बात है। माननीय रक्षा मंत्री जी, Chief of the Army Staff and Officer on Special Duty, Department of Defense, Chief of the Air Staff and Secretary Defense Production, Secretary and Chairman DRDO and Financial Advisor Defense Services. हम एक बार फिर पूरे सम्मान के साथ सभी गणमान्य व्यक्तियों का स्वागत करते हैं और उनकी बहुमूल्य उपस्थिति के लिए धन्यवाद देते हैं। DefConnect 4.0 marks a pivotal moment in the evolution of India's defense innovation ecosystem, uniting all defense stakeholders together, fostering collaborations, promoting innovation, and highlighting advanced technologies. भारतीय संस्कृति में दीप प्रज्वलन को ज्ञान, प्रकाश और नई शुरुआत का प्रतीक माना जाता है। इसी विचार के साथ मैं माननीय श्री रक्षा मंत्री और स्टेज पर विराजित सभी गणमान्य व्यक्तियों से अनुरोध करती हूं कि वे दीप प्रज्वलित कर इस कार्यक्रम का शुभारंभ करें।
Thank you, respected dignitaries. Honorable Raksha Mantri Ji, with your blessings, we shall begin today's Defense Innovation event, DefConnect 4.0. May I now invite Secretary Defense Productions and Chairman DIO, Shri Sanjeev Kumar Ji, to deliver the welcome address.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is my privilege to welcome Honorable Raksha Mantri Ji on this important occasion of DefConnect 4, under whose inspiration and guidance we are able to successfully integrate startup and MSMEs in our wide defense manufacturing ecosystem. I also extend warm wishes to Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Air Staff, Officer on Special Duty and Secretary Designate, Department of Defense, Chairman DRDO and FADS, all senior colleagues from Ministry, Armed Forces, and all esteemed guests at DefConnect 4. Presence of all you enrich our gathering today. The launch of Innovation for Defense Excellence, IDEX, was a pivotal step in strengthening innovation in the defense sector. Acknowledging the imperative of self-reliance and the indigenous development of cutting-edge technologies, IDEX was established to foster and nurture a vibrant ecosystem of startup and MSMEs. Inception of IDEX resonated profoundly with the visionary aspiration of our Honorable Prime Minister, who envisioned the realization of Atmanirbharta in defense through the principles of Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. At its core, IDEX aimed to create an ecosystem that fosters innovation and technology development in defense and aerospace. It actively engages with MSMEs, startup, individual innovators, R&D institutes, academia, and investors by bridging the gap between the services, defense public sector undertakings, and startups. IDEX thus serves as a vital platform to innovate, filling the gaps and extending our horizon, and in all, enriching our defense capabilities. Through its unique models of co-creation and co-development, IDEX seeks to empower a new generation of defense innovators, furthering the growth of India's indigenous defense industry. It has proven to be a game changer as far as opening of the defense manufacturing system to startup and MSMEs is concerned, and in that sense, revolutionize the defense landscape. The initiative's ability to attract and collaborate with a vast pool of talent underscores its success in promoting innovations. I am pleased to share with all that presently IDEX is actively engaging with 450 startups and MSMEs, driving innovation through Defense India Startup Challenges, commonly known as DISC challenges and open challenges. The dynamic collaboration is fostering cutting-edge solutions and strengthening our growing defense ecosystem by procuring and inducting various advanced and cutting-edge technologies from IDEX winners. This underscores the growing trust we all together place in the innovative potential of our nation's entrepreneurs, brightening the future of our defense innovation ecosystem. Today marks a significant milestone as we host DefConnect 4, a platform that reflects the incredible enthusiasm and support the IDEX initiative has garnered from its all stakeholders. It provides an interesting technological showcase, offering IDEX innovators a unique platform to demonstrate their cutting-edge technologies, capabilities, and breakthrough products. Once again, I take this opportunity to welcome Honorable Raksha Mantri Ji on behalf of all of us who has taken time from his very, very busy schedule and choose to remain present with all of us to encourage and motivate all, not least the innovators, MSME and startups. I also wish to welcome once again all the dignitaries on the dais and our colleagues, innovators, representatives from academia, financial institutions, and all important stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your welcoming words of encouragement. In our relentless pursuit for advancing innovation in critical and futuristic defense technologies, at the previous edition of DefConnect, the Honorable Raksha Mantri introduced the groundbreaking initiative, Acing Development of Innovative Technologies with IDEX, Aditi, with enhanced grant support of up to 25 crores. Today, we are honored to have Honorable Raksha Mantri ji with us to launch the second edition of the Aditi scheme. May I humbly request Honorable Raksha Mantri ji to please launch the second edition of Aditi.
In recent years, the landscape of defense innovation has evolved rapidly. Pushing the boundaries of excellence in defense technology, IDEX is accelerating Atmanirbharta in defense by driving critical and next-generation ideas through state-of-the-art innovation. Earlier this year, Honorable Raksha Mantri launched Aditi 1.0. Continuing the efforts to make India self-reliant in developing technologies in strategic domains like AI, quantum technology, military communication, and more. IDEX is launching Aditi 2.0 with 19 problem statements and grants up to rupees 25 crore, featuring challenges from Indian Army with 5 challenges, Indian Navy with 5 challenges, Indian Air Force with 5 challenges, 2 challenges under DEF Space, Indian Coast Guard and GRSE with 1 challenge each. IDEX extends an open invitation to innovators, startups and MSMEs to apply. Tomorrow's defense, built on today's innovation.
Thank you, Honorable Raksha Mantri ji. The applications are now open for innovators, startups, and MSMEs. IDEX has successfully launched 11 editions of Defense India Startup Challenges, DISC, gathering an immense response from innovators, startups, and MSMEs. May I humbly request Honorable Raksha Mantri ji to please launch DISC 12 challenges for the nation.
As India augments its position as a global defense power, IDEX remains steadfast in its commitment towards boosting innovative and cutting-edge technologies for our armed forces. IDEX proudly unveils the 12th edition of the Defense India Startup Challenge, DISC 12. Featuring 41 challenges across technology domains such as unmanned aerial vehicle, AI, networking and communication, advanced sensors and medical technology, with grants up to rupees 1.5 crore. DISC 12 marks a key milestone with an MOU between IDEX and AFMS, launching Medical Innovations and Research Advancement Initiative to develop innovative medical technologies. This visionary initiative is set to revolutionize healthcare outcomes while meeting the dynamic medical demands of the armed forces. with 9 challenges from Armed Forces Medical Services. Additionally, Disc 12 features challenges from Indian Army with 5 challenges, Indian Navy with 5 challenges, Indian Air Force with 5 challenges, Indian Coast Guard with 4 challenges, BEL with 4 challenges, BDL and BRO with 2 challenges each, 1 challenge under DevSpace, HAL, BEML, Midhani and AWEIL with 1 challenge each. IDEX extends an open invitation to innovators, startups and MSMEs to apply. Pushing boundaries, advancing defense.
Thank you, Honorable Raksha Mantri Ji. The applications now stands open. Today, we are proud to announce the winners of Aditi 1.0 challenges. Now, may I request winners of Indian Army and Indian Air Force to please come on stage for the felicitation and group photograph. I request respected dignitaries. Thank you, winners. You may now take your seats. Requesting dignitaries to please stay back. Now I request the winners of Indian Navy and DSA on stage, please. Requesting dignitaries to please come forward for another group photograph, please. May I request winners of Indian Navy and DSA on stage, please. Thank you, winners. You may now take your seats. I request respected dignitaries to kindly take their seats. Announcement of Aditi 1.0 winners was the plan under 100 days plan for the government. Today, we are thrilled to announce a groundbreaking partnership between IDEX, SIDBI, and our partner incubators to further support our IDEX winners. This initiative will provide enhanced financial backing to help scale innovations to the defense ecosystem. May I invite Joint Secretary, DIP, Shri Amit Satija, sir, SIDBI officials, and representatives from SIGN, FITT, and T-Hub on stage, please. I request respected dignitaries to come forward for a group photograph, please. Thank you, respected dignitaries. Thank you, Joint Secretary, sir, and respected officials. Spearheaded by SIDBI, this partnership will establish a funding mechanism with 10 partner incubators to drive innovation and growth in defense and allied sectors. In a short span, IDEX has grown by leaps and bounds. 20 procurement contracts with leading defense startups and services worth over 1,000 crores have been inked by the end of last financial year. Today, we are proud to felicitate 5 IDEX winners who have signed 7 procurement contracts with Indian Army and the Indian Navy. Now, I sincerely invite respective representatives from the Indian Army and the Indian Navy on stage to felicitate our procurement awardees. With great excitement, I invite SPOCs from Edison Systems LLP, Euromobic Systems Private Limited, Optional India Private Limited, Vimal Fire Controls Private Limited, and QNU Labs Private Limited on stage. A huge round of applause as we join to recognize their exceptional contributions. Thank you, our respected IDEX winners, respected dignitaries. Now, for the moment we all have been waiting for, now I request Honorable Raksha Mantri Ji to please grace the gathering with the words of wisdom.
मैं बैठे बैठे यही देख रहा था कि इसकी आग बुझ क्यों रही है। तो मैं इस नतीजे पर पहुंचा कि हमारे स्टार्टअप्स और इनोवेटर्स के अंदर की जो आग है, शायद उस आग से यह आग शर्मा रही है। जनरल उपेंद्र द्विवेदी, चीफ ऑफ आर्मी स्टाफ, एयर चीफ मार्शल AP Singh, Chief of Air Staff, Sri R.K. Singh, OSD and Defence Secretary Designate, Sri Sanjeev Kumar, Secretary Defence Production, Dr. Sameer V. Kamath, Secretary DDR&D and the Chairman DIDO, Sri S.G. Dastidar, FADS, senior officials from MOD and Government of India, leaders of industry, academia, यंग इंटरप्रेन्योर्स एंड इनोवेटर्स, मेरे मीडिया के मित्रों, अन्य देवियों व सज्जनों, सबसे पहले मैं डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ डिफेंस प्रोडक्शन को डेफ कनेक्ट का 4th एडिशन ऑर्गेनाइज करने के लिए हार्दिक बधाई देता हूं। साथियों, आज यहां मुझे आप सबके बीच खासकर अपने इनोवेटर्स, स्टार्टअप्स, MSMEs, रिसर्चर्स और इस स्टूडेंट्स के बीच आकर बेहद खुशी हो रही है। और मुझे खुशी इसलिए भी हो रही है कि मैं स्वयं ही विज्ञान का छात्र रहा हूं, फिजिक्स का छात्र रहा हूं। ऐसे जो हमारे इनोवेटर्स होते हैं, रिसर्चर्स होते हैं, तो उनसे मिलकर स्वाभाविक रूप से मेरे अंदर भी खुशी का एहसास होता है। और साथियों, यह खुशी तब और बढ़ जाती है जब आपसे मिलने के साथ साथ, आपसे बातचीत करने के साथ साथ हम इस मंच से डेफ कनेक्ट के 4th एडिशन का शुभारंभ देख रहे हैं। साथियों, आप इस बात के साक्षी हैं कि डेफ कनेक्ट बीते कुछ वर्षों में भारत के डिफेंस इकोसिस्टम में इनोवेशन की रिकॉग्निशन और इनकरेजमेंट का एक महत्वपूर्ण यह मंच बन गया है। डिफेंस इनोवेशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के नेतृत्व में डेफ कनेक्ट ने इनोवेशन के कल्चर को डेवलप करने में जो महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है, वह सराहनीय है। साथियों, आज इस मंच से हमने पिछले आधे 1 घंटे में जिन कार्यक्रमों को देखा है, लगभग 25-30 मिनट के अंदर जिन स्कीम्स को लॉन्च होते देखा है, इन सब के पीछे की कहानी मैं मानता हूं निश्चित रूप से बहुत ही लंबी होगी। चाहे वह आईडेक्स अदिति 2 की लॉन्चिंग हो, चाहे आईडेक्स डिस्क 12 की लॉन्चिंग हो, चाहे वह ऑनलाइन पोर्टल का इनॉग्रेशन हो, ये सारी चीज़ें अपने पीछे की बहुत बड़ी एक मुहिम को, एक अभियान को दिखाती हैं। देखने में तो भले ही अलग अलग इवेंट लग रहे हों, लेकिन इसके पीछे की सोच कॉमन, बड़ी और बहुत गहरी है, बहुत ही डीप है। और इस गहरी सोच का एक सिरा जाता है हमारे डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रियल इकोसिस्टम में, एक नई एनर्जी और डायनेमिज्म को लाने की ओर, तो इसका दूसरा छोर जाता है भारत में विद्यमान टैलेंट को देश की रक्षा में भागीदार बनाने की ओर। मैं कह सकता हूं कि इस मुहिम में हमें आप सबका, यानी हमारे यंग इनोवेटर्स, हमारे टेक्नोलॉजी लीडर्स और हमारे एमएसएमईज, हमारे साइंटिस्ट, इंजीनियर्स, हमारी एकेडमिया या कहें तो समूचे डिफेंस इकोसिस्टम का साथ मिला है। डेफकनेक्ट ने वास्तव में डिफेंस इनोवेशन को बढ़ावा देने के मामले में हम सबको कनेक्ट कर दिया है, एक दूसरे से जोड़ दिया है। साथियों, अभी मैं यहाँ आ रहा था तो मेरा ध्यान इस आयोजन के नाम यानी डेफकनेक्ट के कनेक्ट वर्ड पर गया। इस कनेक्ट का मेरी नज़र में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस है, बल्कि मैं कहूँगा कि इसकी इंपॉर्टेंस दिन ब दिन बढ़ती जा रही है। आप देखिए कि कहने को तो हम एक ऐसे युग में रह रहे हैं जहाँ इस दुनिया को ग्लोबल विलेज कहकर संबोधित किया जाता है। जब हमें यह लगता है कि लोगों के बीच की दूरियां अब कम हुई हैं, कहने को तो हम इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी के युग में रह रहे हैं जहां 1000 किलोमीटर दूर बैठे किसी व्यक्ति की सूचना हमारे पास विद इन सेकेंड्स पहुंच जाती है। कहने को तो सोशल मीडिया पर हमारे हजारों फ्रेंड्स होते हैं, लाखों फ्रेंड्स होते हैं, करोड़ों फ्रेंड्स होते हैं, पर कभी आपका कहीं घूमने का मन करे, किसी से बोलकर देखिए कितने मित्र तैयार होते हैं कहीं जाने के लिए। नाते रिश्तेदारी दूर से खूब अच्छी लगती है, पर कोई रिलेटिव घर आ जाए तो थोड़ी देर बाद लगने लगता है कि अतिथि तुम कब जाओगे। हमारे एक मित्र हैं, एक दिन कह रहे थे कि पहले लोग जो गेस्ट होते थे, मेहमान होते थे, मेहमानों का इंतजार करते थे कि मेहमान आ जाएं तो उनके साथ हम भी बैठकर लंच या डिनर करें। अब इंतजार करते हैं कि हमारे यह गेस्ट, हमारे यह मेहमान चले जाएं तब हम लंच या डिनर करें। ये स्थिति है आपसी कनेक्ट की। ऐसे में जब डेफकनेक्ट नाम का यह आयोजन लगातार आगे बढ़ता जा रहा है तो ये बड़ा ही, मैं मानता हूं कि एक संतोष देने वाला विषय तो है ही, साथ ही साथ हम सब के लिए एक उत्साहवर्धक भी है। और बात जब भारत की नेशनल सिक्योरिटी की आती है तो ऐसे में डिफेंस इकोसिस्टम से जुड़े हुए सभी स्टेक होल्डर्स के बीच स्ट्रांग कनेक्शन का होना यह अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण हो जाता है। जब हम सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स को एक दूसरे से कनेक्ट करेंगे तो निश्चित रूप से हमारा डिफेंस इकोसिस्टम स्वाभाविक रूप से मजबूत होगा ही होगा। इसी कनेक्शन के लिए भारत सरकार इन सभी योजनाओं के क्रियान्वयन पर ध्यान दे रही है। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि डेफकनेक्ट के माध्यम से हमारा यह कनेक्शन और अधिक मजबूत होगा और भारत की रक्षा क्षेत्र में आत्मनिर्भरता भी हम और अधिक मजबूत होती जाएगी। साथियों, 2014 में हमारी पहली सरकार के आने के तुरंत बाद प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने आत्मनिर्भरता का नारा दिया था। इस कनेक्ट के पीछे प्रधानमंत्री जी का आत्मनिर्भरता का मंत्र ही काम कर रहा था। सरकार ने रक्षा क्षेत्र में प्राइवेट सेक्टर की भागीदारी में कमी को आत्मनिर्भरता प्राप्त करने के रास्ते में एक बहुत बड़ी बाधा माना था और इस पर काम करना भी शुरू किया था कि प्राइवेट सेक्टर का पार्टिसिपेशन कैसे अधिक से अधिक बढ़ाया जाए। साथियों, मैं समझता हूं कि रक्षा क्षेत्र में आत्मनिर्भरता के दो बड़े डायमेंशंस होते हैं, दो बड़े आयाम होते हैं। पहला डायमेंशन रहा है उन आर्म्स एंड इक्विपमेंट के प्रोडक्शन का जिनकी टेक्नोलॉजी तो उपलब्ध थी परंतु प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी का अभाव था या कहीं ना कहीं उनमें क्वालिटी की कमी थी। यह ज़्यादातर कन्वेंशनल प्रकार के थे। दूसरी ओर वारफेयर के नेचर में जिस प्रकार से बदलाव आ रहा है उसके मद्देनजर भी एक नए डायमेंशन पर आत्मनिर्भरता की आवश्यकता सरकार ने महसूस की और यह आवश्यकता थी रक्षा क्षेत्र में हाई टेक्नोलॉजी का ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा एप्लीकेशन की। साथियों, इस प्रकार के कटिंग एज टेक्नोलॉजीज के डेवलपमेंट की दिशा में अब तक तो हमने अपने इन हाउस रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट तथा डीआरडीओ जैसी संस्थाओं को काम करते हुए देखा था, लेकिन अब बीते कुछ वर्षों से हम इन एडवांस टेक्नोलॉजीज के डेवलपमेंट की दिशा में प्राइवेट सेक्टर की भी अच्छी खासी भूमिका स्पष्ट रूप से देख रहे हैं। आज मैं इस मंच से गौरव के साथ यह बात मैं कह सकता हूं कि मॉडर्न वारफेयर की जरूरतों को देखते हुए भारत के पब्लिक सेक्टर और प्राइवेट सेक्टर दोनों कि जो सिनर्जी है वो पहले के कंपैरिजन में काफी मजबूत हुई है, जिसका सबसे बड़ा उदाहरण डेफ कनेक्ट का यह फोरम है। साथियों, मेरा यह मानना है कि आज हमारे देश में इनोवेटर्स, एंटरप्रेन्योर्स, साइंटिस्ट, स्टार्टअप आदि का जो वाइब्रेंट और डायनेमिक इकोसिस्टम है, इसमें जितनी सरकार की भूमिका है उतनी ही भूमिका प्राइवेट सेक्टर की भी है। कई बार तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जब बात मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजी के डेवलपमेंट की आती है तो प्राइवेट सेक्टर इस मामले में पूरी तरह उपयुक्त दिखाई देते हैं, क्योंकि प्राइवेट सेक्टर आमतौर पर अपने इनोवेशन और रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट के लिए ही वे जाने जाते हैं। साथियों, आप सब जानते हैं कि आज हमारे यूथ की ताकत का लोहा सारी दुनिया मान रही है। भारत के सभी इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर्स में जो यूथ टैलेंट पूल है उसे संपूर्ण विश्व में इस समय स्वीकारा जा रहा है। आप में से लोग विदेशों में जाते होंगे, वहाँ की एकेडमिया के साथ बातचीत होती होगी, हम लोगों का जाना होता है, बातचीत होती है। मैं सच बतलाऊं कि बहुत ही एक गौरव की अनुभूति होती है, सेंस ऑफ प्राइड मन के अंदर जो पैदा होता है, गौरव की अनुभूति होती है। क्या हमारा भारत था, भारत के बारे में धारणा क्या थी, आज इंटरनेशनल कम्युनिटी में भारत के बारे में कैसी धारणा बन गई है। एक सेंटेंस में यदि कहना हो तो मैं कह सकता हूं कि इंटरनेशनल कम्युनिटी में भारत का स्टेचर तेजी के साथ बढ़ा है। भारतीय टैलेंट आज विश्व की कई बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियों के सिरमौर बनकर बैठे हैं। देश के अंदर ही जिस प्रकार के वाइब्रेंट स्टार्टअप्स और एमएसएमई सेक्टर का विकास हुआ है, साथियों, वो एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी है, एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी है। स्वाभाविक तौर से इस टैलेंट को डिफेंस सेक्टर में इन्वॉल्व करना डिजायरेबल ही नहीं बल्कि मैं समझता हूं यह आवश्यक हो जाता है। इसलिए सरकार रक्षा मंत्रालय में और डिफेंस इकोसिस्टम में प्राइवेट सेक्टर की भूमिका को और ज्यादा इनहांस करने के लिए पूरी तरह से कमिटेड है। साथियों, मुझे याद है कि 2018 में जब आईडेक्स की शुरुआत की गई थी तो उस समय हमने अपने यंग इनोवेटर्स, स्टार्टअप, जहां तक मुझे याद है कि मैंने इसकी शुरुआत की थी। क्यों कामत जी, साइंटिस्ट जहां बैठते हैं कुछ न कुछ सोचते रहते हैं। मैंने आईडेक्स शुरुआत शायद मैंने ही की थी, वही याद है। तो उस समय हमने अपने यंग इनोवेटर्स, स्टार्टअप्स और एंटरप्रेन्योर्स और एमएसएमईज को रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट के लिए 1.5 करोड़ रुपए तक की सहायता देने की घोषणा मैंने किया था। अनेक चैलेंजेस के माध्यम से हम अपने इनोवेटर्स को न सिर्फ इनोवेशन के लिए प्रोत्साहित करते रहे बल्कि इसके लिए जरूरी फंडिंग भी प्रदान करते रहे। आईडेक्स ने डिफेंस इंडिया स्टार्टअप चैलेंज यानी डिस्क के माध्यम से हमारे स्टार्टअप्स और एमएसएमईज को रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट क्षेत्र में और अधिक इन्वॉल्व किया। 2021 आते आते आपने सफलता की ऐसी ऊंचाइयां छुई कि आपको इनोवेशन में उत्कृष्टता के लिए प्रेस्टीजियस प्राइम मिनिस्टर अवार्ड से भी सम्मानित किया गया। साथियों, मुझे यह बतलाया गया है कि आईडेक्स ने अब तक 9000 से अधिक एप्लीकेशंस प्राप्त किए हैं, ऐसे आवेदन प्राप्त किए हैं, और वर्तमान में डिस्क और ओपन चैलेंज के माध्यम से आईडेक्स 450 से भी अधिक स्टार्टअप्स और एमएसएमईज के साथ सहयोग कर रहा है। इसके अतिरिक्त आईडेक्स के तहत अब तक 26 प्रोडक्ट्स को डेवलप किया गया है, जिनके लिए 1000 करोड़ रुपए से भी अधिक के प्रोक्योरमेंट ऑर्डर्स भी दिए गए हैं। इसके अलावा 37 प्रोडक्ट्स के लिए 2380 करोड़ रुपए से अधिक मूल्य के एओएन और आरएफपी भी ये जारी किए गए हैं। साथियों, आईडेक्स की इन सफलताओं को देखते हुए तथा इसे और भी ज्यादा प्रोत्साहित करने के लिए तथा इस सक्सेस स्टोरी को और भी आगे बढ़ाने के लिए हमने अदिति स्कीम को लॉन्च किया है, जिसमें असिस्टेंस को बढ़ावा देकर, बढ़ाकर उसे 25 करोड़ रुपए तक कर दिया गया है। अदिति इनिशिएटिव डिफेंस इकोसिस्टम को मजबूत करने के लिए 30 से भी अधिक ज्यादा कटिंग एज, क्रिटिकल और स्ट्रेटेजिक टेक्नोलॉजी पर अपना ध्यान केंद्रित कर रही है। जब 25 करोड़ रुपया करना था तो उस समय जब मैं मीटिंग कर रहा था अफसर्स की, तो इस पर डिबेट चल रहा था, इसको 15 किया जाए, 20 किया जाए, ये किया जाए, वो किया जाए। किसी एक सज्जन ने उसमें कहा था 25 करोड़ किया जाए, तो मैंने कहा कि ओके 25 करोड़, गो अहेड, हो गया। अदिति इनिशिएटिव डिफेंस इकोसिस्टम को मजबूत करने के लिए 30 से भी अधिक कटिंग एज, क्रिटिकल और स्ट्रेटेजिक टेक्नोलॉजी पर अपना ध्यान केंद्रित कर रही हैं। साथियों, आज इस मंच से हमने अदिति 2 की शुरुआत की है और मैं अदिति 1.0 को अपना उत्साही समर्थन देने के लिए आप सभी स्टार्टअप्स और एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को ढेर सारी बधाई देता हूं तथा अदिति 2 का लाभ उठाकर भारत की रक्षा क्षमता को, माने हमारी डिफेंस कैपेबिलिटी को और बढ़ाने के लिए आप सभी का आह्वान भी मैं करता हूं। और अदिति 2 पहले से भी कहीं अधिक मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजी पर अपना ध्यान केंद्रित करेगी, जो कि निश्चित रूप से हमारे डिफेंस इकोसिस्टम को यह और अधिक मजबूत करेगा। साथियों, हमारे डिफेंस सेक्टर और ज्यादा मजबूत करने के लिए हमने आज इस मंच से कई इनिशिएटिव्स भी लॉन्च किए हैं, जिसे प्रत्यक्ष आपने देखा है। आईडेक्स विनर्स को एम्पावर करने के लिए हमने आईडेक्स और सिडबी के बीच कोलैबोरेशन की भी शुरुआत की, जो हमारे इनोवेटर्स के क्रिटिकल फंडिंग नीड्स को पूरा करेगा, ऐसा मेरा विश्वास है। और साथियों, ट्रायल एंड टेस्टिंग इनोवेशन का एक बड़ा आधार होता है और इसके बिना इनोवेशन आगे बढ़ ही नहीं सकता है। ऐसे में इसकी सुविधा प्रदान करना इनोवेशन को बढ़ावा देने के प्रति सरकार की कमिटमेंट का भी एक बहुत बड़ा उदाहरण है। साथियों, ये सारे इनिशिएटिव्स भारतीय यूथ और टैलेंट पर हमारे विश्वास और कमिटमेंट को दर्शाते हैं। हमारे पिछले सारे प्रयास इसलिए सफल हुए क्योंकि उनकी सफलता के पीछे आपकी मेहनत लगी हुई थी, आपका लगन और आपकी मेहनत थी। उसके कारण यह कामयाबी हासिल हो पाई है और आगे भी हम जो प्रयास करेंगे उसकी सफलता के पीछे भी आपकी ही मेहनत होगी, आपकी ही प्रतिभा होगी, आपकी ही क्षमता होगी, ऐसा मेरा पक्का विश्वास है। मैं आप सभी को आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं कि हम हर वो प्रयास करेंगे जिनकी रक्षा क्षेत्र को जरूरत होगी, चाहे वो पॉलिसीज की बात हो या फिर स्कीम्स की बात हो या फिर किसी प्रकार के गाइडेंस की बात हो। भारत सरकार हमेशा आपके साथ खड़ी है। जरूरत है तो आप सभी को और मजबूती के साथ आगे आने की। और मैं यह भी कहना चाहता हूं कि डिफेंस मिनिस्ट्री को लेकर या तो हमारे जितने भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हैं उनको लेकर कहीं कोई प्रॉब्लम यदि आप हो रही हो तो मैं आह्वान करता हूं अपने स्टार्टअप्स को भी कि आप आइए, आप सीधे हम लोगों से मिल सकते हैं, बात कर सकते हैं। आप समय लीजिए, आपको समय देंगे, आपकी समस्याओं का समाधान करेंगे। साथियों, जरूरत है तो आप सभी को और मजबूती के साथ आगे आने की। असल में भारत के रक्षा क्षेत्र को मजबूत करने का जिम्मा आपके मजबूत कंधों के ऊपर है। इसके लिए अगर कोई चीज सबसे जरूरी है तो वह है आप सभी स्टेक होल्डर्स की मेहनत और लगन, जिस पर कि आज तक कोई भी क्वेश्चन मार्क नहीं लगा पाया है। हम कितने भी सपने देखें, हम कितने भी सपने देख लें, कितने भी लक्ष्य क्यों न निर्धारित कर लें, पर जब तक हम और अधिक डेडिकेशन के साथ सामने नहीं आएंगे, हम कुछ एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी भी किसी भी सूरत में नहीं कर पाएंगे। इसलिए मैं आप सभी से आह्वान करता हूं कि आप सभी और भी दमखम के साथ सामने आइए और अपने लक्ष्यों तक पहुंचने के पहले रुके नहीं। इसके लिए मैं परमात्मा से प्रार्थना करता हूं कि आपके अंदर वह सामर्थ्य दे, वह शक्ति दे कि आप अपने लक्ष्य को हासिल करने में पूरी तरह से कामयाब हों। आप सबने रामायण की उस घटना के बारे में पढ़ा होगा जब अंगद के नेतृत्व में जामवंत और हनुमान जी माता सीता को खोजने के लिए निकले थे। बहुत सारे लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा। और सामने अथाह समुद्र देखकर अंगद बैठ गए कि इतने विशाल समुद्र को भला कोई कैसे लांघ सकता है, कैसे पार कर सकता है। उस समय तक हनुमान जी को उनकी शक्ति का अनुमान नहीं था कि हमारे पास कितनी शक्ति है, यह हनुमान जी को पता नहीं था। लेकिन जामवंत जी ने हनुमान जी को उनकी क्षमताओं का, उनकी ताकत का एहसास कराया, स्मरण कराया कि हनुमान जी आपके अंदर इतनी ताकत है कि आप छलांग लगा सकते हो। जामवंत जी ने उन्हें बताया कि हनुमान जी, यदि आप पार करने पर आए तो यह समुद्र क्या चीज है, आप तो त्रिलोक का भी चक्कर लगा सकते हैं। यह हौसला अफजाई की उन्होंने हनुमान जी की। जामुन जी उनसे कहते हैं, वो चौपाई भी है रामायण की, कवन सो काज कठिन जग माही, जो नहीं होई तात तुम पाही। अर्थात ऐसा भला कौन सा काम है हनुमान जी जो आप चाहें और न कर पाए। तो मैं अपने स्टार्टअप से भी कहना चाहता हूं, और इनोवेटर से भी कहना चाहता हूं, कौन सा ऐसा कार्य है जो आप नहीं कर सकते हो, आपके अंदर वह सामर्थ्य है, आपके अंदर वह क्षमता है। साथियों, हमारी भूमिका भी जामवंत जी जैसी है। हम आपको आपकी ताकत याद दिलाने और आपकी क्षमताओं को निखारने का काम बखूबी करेंगे, यह मैं आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं। आप हनुमान की भूमिका में रहिए, हम लोग जामवंत की भूमिका में रहें। बाकी तो आप सबके अंदर इतनी अधिक क्षमता है कि आपके मजबूत कंधे भारत के विकास का भार उठाने के लिए पूरी तरह से सक्षम है। आपने पास्ट में उन क्षमताओं का प्रदर्शन भी किया है और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि आप आगे भी अपनी क्षमताओं के साथ न्याय करेंगे, जस्टिस करेंगे। साथियों, इस महत्वपूर्ण अवसर पर एक दो और विचार भी मैं आपके सामने शेयर करना चाहूंगा। इन विचारों को मुझे उम्मीद है कि आप एक चैलेंज की तरह लेंगे और उस पर नए सिरे से आप विचार करेंगे। आज हम तरह तरह के युद्धों, वनवार्स और युद्धों की संभावनाओं के बीच जी रहे हैं। जो कुछ भी विश्व में हो रहा है आप देख रहे हैं, चाहे वह रशिया यूक्रेन का हो, चाहे इस समय इजराइल का, ईरान का, बहुत सारी कंट्रीज के साथ जो कुछ भी चल रहा है। इन युद्धों में लगातार नई नई टेक्नोलॉजीज का समावेश हुए चला जा रहा है। इनमें न सिर्फ कन्वेंशनल आर्म्स एंड एम्यूनिशंस का यूज हो रहा है, बल्कि कई प्रकार के डुअल यूज या इवन प्योरली सिविलियन आइटम्स एंड टेक्नोलॉजी का इस्तेमाल भी किया जा रहा है। उन्हें वेपनाइज किया जा रहा है। ऐसे में हमें इस प्रकार की टेक्नोलॉजिकल एप्लीकेशन को गहराई से समझना होगा। हमें देखना होगा कि किस प्रकार से इन टेक्नोलॉजीज का इमेजिनेटिव यूज हम अपने डिफेंस के लिए कर सकते हैं। मैं यहां सिर्फ दूसरे युद्ध ग्रसित पार्टीज के एप्लीकेशंस के इमिटेशन की बात नहीं कर रहा हूं। मैं इससे आगे बढ़ते हुए उन प्रणालियों या एप्लीकेशन की ओर आपका ध्यान ले जाना चाहूंगा जो बिल्कुल नई हैं और सिर्फ हमारी हों, जो बिल्कुल नई हों और हमारी हों। यह तो हुई पहली बात। दूसरी बात जो मैं आप लोगों से करना चाहता हूं, वह दूसरी बात है कि अभी तक डिस्क अथवा इस तरह की स्कीम्स में हम आपको अलग अलग चैलेंजेस देते हैं और आप उसका सलूशन देते हैं। जाहिर है ये सलूशंस आपको दिए गए चैलेंजेस पर निर्भर होते हैं और इसलिए स्पेसिफिक होते हैं। पर मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी इन सलूशन से आगे बढ़ते हुए ऐसी टेक्नोलॉजी, ऐसे इनोवेशंस ले आएं जो अब तक की रिक्वायरमेंट से भी कहीं आगे की चीज हो और वे हमारे डिफेंस और सर्विसेज की जरूरत बन जाएं। आज भले ही इतना महसूस हो रही हो डिफेंस को, लेकिन वो उनकी जरूरत बन जाए। जब ऐसा होने लगेगा तो मैं समझता हूं कि यह मंच एक 2 डे डायलॉग का मंच बन जाएगा। 2 वे डायलॉग का मंच, 2 डे नहीं 2 वे डायलॉग का यह मंच बन जाएगा और हम और अधिक सफल तरीके से सामने आएंगे। साथियों, आज का कार्यक्रम हमें यह दिखा रहा है कि हम सब अपने सम्मिलित प्रयासों के माध्यम से रक्षा क्षेत्र में भारत को आत्मनिर्भर बनाने की ओर अपने कदम बढ़ा चुके हैं। वैसे भी आत्मनिर्भरता जैसा बड़ा काम केवल सरकार अपने दम पर नहीं कर सकती है, बल्कि इसके लिए हमें इससे जुड़े हुए सभी स्टेक होल्डर्स का पूर्ण मनोयोग के साथ सहयोग साथ यह जरूरी है। और मुझे यह कहते हुए खुशी हो रही है कि आप सब अब तक सरकार के साथ कदम से कदम मिलाकर चल रहे हैं, और मैं तो कहूँगा जरूरत है तो सरकार से भी कदम से कदम मिलाकर तो चले ही, जरूरत है थोड़ा आगे भी बढ़े। साथ ही मुझे यह भी विश्वास है कि आगे भी हम सबका यह कनेक्शन और स्ट्रांग होता जाएगा और हम सब मिलकर भारत के डिफेंस इकोसिस्टम को दुनिया में सबसे मजबूत और सबसे अधिक मॉडर्न बनाएंगे। साथियों, मैं डेफ कनेक्ट के 4th एडिशन की सफलता की कामना करता हूं और साथ ही आज इनाग्रेट हुए सभी स्कीम्स की सफलता के लिए आप सभी को अपनी हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। और मैं एक बार फिर आप सभी का आभार प्रकट करता हूं कि आप सबने मुझे इस कार्यक्रम में अपने बीच आमंत्रित किया। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ पुनः सारे नौजवानों को अपनी तरफ से हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं देते हुए सारे हमारे जो इनोवेटर्स हैं, हमारे जितने स्टार्टअप्स हैं, जितने भी हैं, सबको हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं देते हुए अपना निवेदन समाप्त करता हूं।
Thank you, Honorable Raksha Mantri Ji, for addressing the gathering. Now I request Joint Secretary, DIP, Shri Amit Satija Ji, to please deliver the vote of thanks.
First of all, I would like to convey my sincere thanks and gratitude to Honorable Raksha Mantri Shri Rajnath Singh Ji for taking out time from his busy schedule to grace this function of DefConnect 4.0. Sir, we are extremely grateful to you for felicitating the winners of Aditi 1.0 and launching 12th edition of Defense India Startup Challenge Disc and 2nd edition of Aditi Challenge. I would also like to convey my gratitude to the Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Air Staff, OSDN Secretary Designate Department of Defense, Secretary DRDO and FADS for gracing this occasion. My special thanks are for Shri Sanjeev Kumar, Secretary Defense Production, whose continuous and guidance and support helped us in improvising various aspects of this program. I would also like to extend my thanks to all senior officers, officials from services, Ministry of Defense, DPSUs, and other officers without whose support it was not possible to organize this program and motivate so many Make in India champions. My special thanks are reserved for the startups, MSMEs, innovators, academia, incubators, fund providers, bankers, researchers, students, and most importantly, IDEX team, whose tireless efforts are making this scheme a grand success. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, respected sir. I sincerely thank all the respected dignitaries for their valuable time. Sir. I humbly request all the esteemed guests to kindly remain seated. I request all the seated dignitaries, guests, students to kindly remain seated. We'll be beginning with our enriching panel discussion for the day, requesting all the guests, dignitaries, students to kindly remain seated. Now it's time to begin the most anticipated segment of our event, the panel discussion. Topic for today's panel discussion is Budget 2024, Strategic Impact on Defense Innovation, Startup Ecosystem, and Semiconductor Domain. This session brings together esteemed experts who have made significant contributions in their respective fields and are here to share their insights and experience with us. It is my privilege and honor to introduce our respected moderator for today's panel discussion, Mr. Nitin A. Gokhale, founder, Bharat Shakti, and Start News Global. I request our respected panelist, Abhishek Jain, Zeus Numerics, AVM Rajiv Ranjan, HQIDS, Vice Admiral S.N. Gormade, retired former Vice Chief of the Indian Navy, Mr. Manoj Jain, CMD, Bell, Brinda Kapoor, Third Eye Tech. So, please join in welcoming our honorable moderator and panelists for the day with a huge round of applause, everybody. Without any further ado, I hand over the command to esteemed moderator. Nitin sir, over to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, please, sir. I lastly request everybody to please settle down.
Good evening.
Requesting the audience sitting at the back, please come forward quickly. Sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'll straight away get into the discussions because we have 1 hour. Unfortunately, 2 of our other panelists who were supposed to be here don't seem to be here. That gives us more time, which is what I initially had wanted and requested the organizers to give us more time for discussion rather than just trying to complete the discussion in a very perfunctory manner. For that, I think we should be grateful where we are now, right now. And of course, all of you know the topic of the discussion that we are going to have. It's about how the budget, the defense budget that has been allocated by the government this year is geared towards fostering innovation, supporting the innovators and the startups, the startup ecosystem. And where are we going to go from here after having done 6 years of, as the Raksha Mantri said, 6 years of the IDEX program and where we are right now? It's been a first stage where people were trying to understand what this is all about. Fresh ideas were put forth. But from here on, where do we go is the question. And I hope at the end of this discussion, we have some takeaways and some recommendations as we go forward. And for that, we have a stellar panel here because these people are experienced in their own fields. We have the CMD of Bharat Electronics Limited. We have the former Vice Chief of Navy, Admiral Ghormade. We have Air Vice Marshal Rajiv Ranjan, who in the Air Force earlier and now as the officer in charge of ICT in IDS, is in charge of looking at how technologies can be absorbed into the services across the 3 services. And we have a practitioner and a winner of the IDEX Challenge, Abhishek, whose Zeus Technology is the Chief Business Officer. And we would hear from him going forward. So let me start a little unconventionally, and I'll start with Abhishek as someone who is actually, the 5th panelist is here. Please join us. That's Brinda Kapoor, who has done stellar work again in semiconductors, and recently you would have seen a joint statement from the White House, India, US, where their startup was also one of the key elements that had the announcement from the US when Prime Minister Modi was in the US. So welcome to this discussion. So let me start with you, Abhishek, since you are at the practical end of the IDEX challenges and otherwise also the startup ecosystem. As the Chief Business Officer, what is your takeaway from the budget that has been allocated in that specific budget that has been given for deep tech, innovation and research? Do you see that helping the startup ecosystem, or you need something more from the government and from the ecosystem itself?
Hello. So what happened is I had to study a little bit on the budget. And
Right.
It's difficult. But when I saw that figure of 1 lakh crore, I stopped studying because I mean, I say this all the time, I'll repeat it, I'm a son of a government defense auditor.
Right.
And we have seen only so much of money. So these zeros are too big for us.
Okay.
I think one problem that happens is money is, I think it is solved. I think we don't need more money now.
Right.
What we would need are two things. One is, of course, वो कहते हैं ना, humility चाहिए. We would have to be humble both in terms of how government is helping us and how we should be knowing our limitations on technology. That's one. And second, I think we would not be able to do anything alone. ये थोड़ा सा we are not able to understand. अगर मुझे munitions India का साथ नहीं मिलता, if they had not helped us, I don't think we would have fired so many guided mortars in the ranges that we are doing. So I think we'll need that help. They would have to become a tree for us to climb, but not a banyan tree where nothing grows at the bottom. So both ways we need help from the public sector.
That's a good start point, I think, for our discussion. And let me also come to Vrinda, because you've been at it now for a couple of years or more, maybe. And semiconductors is the new flavor of the season. I hope it's not just the flavor of the season, but it's flavor of the decade going forward. How do you look at the government support for semiconductor ecosystem? I think we have already crossed the first stage of encouraging the ATP, the packaging and testing and assembly of semiconductors. Now the government is trying to go to the second stage. Where does this support from the government help you, and what do you expect as an outcome from this next stage that has been declared by the government now?
Thank you very much, and thank you to the IDEX team for setting up such a brilliant event and for having us all here to talk about, I think this is a very critical issues. So the support from the government, the central government under the India Semiconductor Mission Scheme of METI has been unparalleled. It is the most generous contribution that any government has put forward for the semiconductor ecosystem. We can compare it to the CHIPS Act in the US or the Chinese equivalent, and what government of India has put forward for industry is still the most generous by far. But I completely agree with what Abhishek said, is that the ecosystem is more important. And there I have to thank our PSUs, especially, we have CMD Bell, and I'm sure he'll talk about it. They have to take that leap of faith towards working with this part of the ecosystem, right? The young companies, the more disruptive companies. Because it's only when the three things marry together that we can take off beyond an inflection point in the military segment in particular. I was also telling, when we talk about the new funds that have been put aside by the government for deep tech research, I was having a conversation with a very senior leader at the World Bank just yesterday. And we were saying how we are gone back an era from what venture capital investment used to be. So for the last 10 years, software has been the defining technology of our era. And all investment that went into software required much lower funding. But as we progress back to supply chains, hardware, critical technologies, the funding mechanisms have to change. It requires a completely new thought process, and there I think Government of India has taken a very, very bold stance with the ANRF.
That's right. I think that's where the new innovative thinking in the government has also come in. And before I come to you, CMD Bell Manoj Jain, Vice Admiral Ghormade, if the user is not convinced and the user doesn't buy into the idea of startups and innovators being critical part of what they bring out or the products that they sort of offer, then this whole system or whole budget is of no use really. So how was the mindset in the users, that is the services? And since you had helmed the startup ecosystem, Swavlamban in the Navy when it started, all that, just give us an idea that how was this mindset changed and how are the services looking at it? I'll come to Vice Marshal Rajiv Ranjan also, but I would like to start with you.
Yeah, the mindset in the services has always been to develop a capability. And I think that was the most important. So the services would want a capability for them. For that, they can fight not only present day war, but a future war. And therefore, this type of thing, the moment there was an ecosystem which was created by the government, that there could be easy interaction by the services with the startups or entrepreneurs or even the MSMEs and the industry, the services have just taken this leap forward. And I think there is a great amount of user interface required. At least I've served for almost 39.5 years and worked in plants for almost 6 to 7 years and acquisitions. Earlier, there was an apprehension to interact with the industry. So once, about 5 years back, the system changed. It's been just opened up. And I think that's how, when we did Swavlamban 1, when we interacted with the industry, for 75 challenges, we got 1,106 proposals. That's the capability of our Indian industry. We just have to trust them, they will create. And I just want to say that initially, maybe 10 years, 15 years back, or 20 years back, the defense industry always led the commercial industry. That means technology came into defense and then later came to commercial world. But things have changed. The commercial world is much ahead now, the amount of technology. So therefore, there's a requirement of the other way around. And therefore, when we draw QRs, we need to be very flexible. We can't be very stringent in QRs. And that's where in the Navy we could succeed and we had much more winners, was that we are able to change QRs easily based on the requirement, which is on the technology which is available. And startups and entrepreneurs are there who can provide this. So I think we need to just have, and I think there's a lot of faith in the startups and entrepreneur system. There's faith, of course, we have had the support of the PSUs and a number of, we have been with them, but the opportunities and what we expect from the private or the industry and the private is that they need to participate more. They need to give much more focus on R&D, which is really required.
See, so that's a great cue for me to go to CMD of BEL, because BEL is one of India's largest and most successful and most valuable defense PSUs. And of course, you've had the experience of being in the R&D sector as a leader before you took over charge of BEL recently. So now that the sector has opened up a bit, earlier, of course, you had your tier 1, tier 2 suppliers or whatever, but more and more private sector participation that the government wants to encourage through the funding that they have given specifically for deep technology and otherwise. How do you see this partnership, DefConnect, as the Raksha Mantri said, is the key? But how do you translate this DefConnect planning into execution, if you can give us some ideas on that?
The point is this DefConnect. So we are connected together. And where we know DPSU has to play the major role. This technology, when they develop, starts from TRL 1, 2, 3, 4, like that it starts. So startups and MSME, generally they make some subsystem, some ideas into a real concept, but from those concepts or those modules, we have to arrive at a overall larger solution. Being in this field for last 50 plus years, DPSU have that edge to understand end user overall requirement or overall solution. So solution architect we can be, and then subsystem development and niche technology development to use for these solutions is played by MSME and startups. So that's why once this ecosystem develops, actually we can provide as DPSU much more quicker solutions to the finally end users, because end users finally want solutions. The products or subsystems are good because real technology comes from that, but stitching that together and providing a solution, that art I feel is there with us right now, and few big private sector also are slowly developing that, but being early advantage for us, we are there for 50 plus years, almost all old DPSU, except this new DPSU which have come up now, all others are around 50 plus years of experience in providing solution, understanding customers and requirement, because that also is there. Customer writes something as a requirement, what is inside of that and what are the nuances of that as a technology, or adapting technology for what they are requiring as requirement. That also is one art, and that art I feel right now is better played by PSUs. So PSU and MSME and startups, we have to coexist and provide quicker solutions to our end customers. That's the main thing.
Yes, that I think I'm sure is happening, but AVM Rajiv Ranjan, you are now in the tri-service organization, although an Air Force officer. You know, the budget actually puts an emphasis on giving startup ecosystem as much encouragement as possible. Also procurement, capital procurement has some emphasis going forward. So how do you see that budget, division of that budget for capital procurement, and then also encouraging the startup and innovations ecosystem to be part of that capital procurement? Because revenue, of course, is also there, but the budget has specifically talked about this. So if you can give us some insight into that.
Thank you very much, Jai Hind. Insofar as armed forces are concerned, we are hungry for tools and technologies. The government is extending all kind of a support. Department and the ministry has got processes in place. And at the same time, startup ecosystem is energized to take the leap of faith. And users are opening up, and we are having regular interactions. So all in all, I see, though we are at a sweet spot in the whole ecosystem after some 75 plus years, but at the same time, we are also in month-end period. One of the things you would find is a process is like a Meru needs a little change. And there'll be, of course, there'll be lots of Amrit and wish some of the startup and some people would die down, but majority would get Amrit to go on to Maharatna or Raytheons of tomorrow. I feel that this time is like 1976 when China articulated for modernization. At that time, defense was one of the pillars for the modernization. And in the right earnest, we are going through that phase, that modernization of the country through the defense. When you look at the Kargil war, after the country paid with the blood, defense opened up. However, in the right earnest, it only in 2016 to 20, when the policies, FDI norms, a whole lot of things opened up. But for the private industry and mainly for the bigger player. But for the startup, it was in 2021 when IDEX and TDF took the route. And in one of my previous tenure, when we did analysis in 22, we found IDEX TDF not a very stable platform then, but now when we look at close to 375 contract in the IDEX, etc. So we are doing the right thing. A whole lot of money is going to flow out of the contract. A whole lot of capability is going to come to us. Of course, sir, as they said, armed forces are learning very fast. With fourth industrial revolution, the procurement cycle went behind the technology cycle. And primarily because it was taken over by the civilian sector, and with the new learning in the Russian and Ukraine war, the armed forces are very fast adopting and changing themselves. So apart from the increased defense allocation of 1.1 72 lakh crore for capital acquisition and 75% for the modernization, that is 1.1 lakh crore reserved for domestic industry, I think ball is in the court of the industry, if I say. At the same time, we have humongous amount, 95,000 crore for the sustenance part, so that there also we have some scope for the business. Aditi, 750 crore till 2026, of which 400 crore has been earmarked in the budget. Also for DRDO, there are 24,000 crore. Plus you have a TDF around 60 crore. So all in all, apart from this, you have humongous money in the innovation as in this current budget. When I look at 1 lakh crore, then I look at for a deep space surveillance or going down to 6 kilometer below the ocean floor, above the floor. Then you have for space segment, you have 1,000 crore viability gap funding. So every department, every ministry, and surprisingly, when you look at how the PSA office is supporting the defense R&D or the defense itself, you will find that in the defense budget, capital budget 2021-22, introduce one appendix, all ministry, what is the R&D money you are getting allocated and what is you are spending. So those allocation and tracking has started with the budget 21-22. Also, economic survey started talking where we stand in innovation from 2020-21. We find that we are at the correct place, humongous quantum jump is happening, but in all this, we need to converge, we need to understand each other, bring all the T-hubs, bring industry together, bring all the missions, be it AI mission, be it quantum mission, together. How do you synthesize that? That would be a great challenge going forward.
Yeah, I think very valid points you've made in 2 or 3 valid points actually. One is that money is not a problem. It's how you utilize the money, how do you distribute that money, and how the private sector and the PSU ecosystem works together is what you're talking about. But one question always arises is this pace of change enough, or you need to go forward? And I'll like Vrinda to come in here because you just have had this tie-up with an American company, and you've been part of that Indo-US ISET joint venture, which has been declared right now. Semiconductor is going to be the key for everything going forward. We are at, I think, the Y2K moment of semiconductors, really. So how does technology from abroad help you implement your projects, your plans for India and the Indian Armed Forces? Are they open enough, or you still struggle to get them on board? They have some reservations about it. If you can tell this ecosystem, because all of them are a part of the startup innovation ecosystem. Your thoughts?
So that's an amazing question, and I was just thinking as we were going through this panel that I think what's working is being disruptive. IDEX is a phenomenally disruptive organization, right? And the way they work with startups and the way they've grown their team and the way they've set a vision, right? It is MOD's disruptor. Startups are another very disruptive ecosystem. When you tie that together, you can have a catalytic impact. ISET was another very catalytic thing that NSA's Dovell and Sullivan put together. And I'll give you 2 things that we got out of ISET that I think are path-breaking. The first is what was widely publicized, the technology transfer for the manufacturing of infrared, of military semiconductors, something that we did not think was possible on a partnership basis. The US government is giving that technology transfer to us with no strings attached. Obviously, we have export restrictions on sanctioned countries, but basically it's no strings attached. For a startup to ask for that, and for a startup to be granted that, I think it is phenomenally disruptive. The second is and this has not been publicized yet because we just found out the news on Friday. We've been working with General Atomics for the last 3 years. We've had a phenomenal amount of engagement with their teams, but eventually everything comes down to export control. So we have a wonderfully India-focused Indian origin CEO heading that company. So he said, let's take a gamble. We applied for a license for their 120 millimeter seeker technology. And on Friday, US government granted it to us.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
A round of applause for...
It's a game changer, right? To think that the detector technology and the seeker technology from the US is now available to us to not just manufacture, but to modify, to change integrations, to make available for the next generation, right? We're not just taking a supply and manufacturing, we are getting their electronic diagrams, their mechanical integration diagrams, the design of their boards. I mean, so like I said, 3 disruptors, IDEX being the first biggest disruptor, startups being the second disruptor that MOD brought in, and then the third was ISET. I think it can't be a better time and place than what we have right now.
So like he said, sweet spot we are in, and I think it helps that the earlier diaspora, migration to UK and US, first to UK and to the US, and you're talking about Vivek Lal, the chief executive of General Atomics, being responsible for what you just declared. I think Vivek has been connected to Indian defense sector since 2009, from Boeing to Lockheed Martin to General Atomics and back to Lockheed Martin, back to General Atomics. So I think he knows the system very well and he realizes what are our requirements in India. So therefore, I think it has worked win-win for everyone really there. But let me come back to Abhishek really. You know, you're a chief marketing or business development man in your own startup. What are the hurdles now? Let's look at that, practical aspects you might have in marketing or convincing people about what the products that you have.
I think we should always start with what is my drawback. I think as a marketing community, we have a drawback of speaking much more than what we can sometimes deliver.
Okay.
And sometimes not knowing the tech stuff. So in my company, for example, we took a conscious decision that only people who have struggled technically would go into marketing.
Okay.
Otherwise, what happens is, it's a very big joke. It happened real time somewhere, where the marketing guy kept on saying, I will bring quality to the table. And the customer said, what is quality? And I have lot many tables. So, I mean, that's a problem. In terms of convincing, sometimes it happens is that you produce something so disruptive that it's difficult to believe for the other person that can this small team do such a thing. For that, I think now it has become good. Like we tested our drone bomb in high altitude. Now we have videos. So I think we should create a lot of fact-based marketing material. We should not create what is called as good CAD drawings, which look very lustrous. A used mortar would look very dirty, but a CAD mortar would look very shiny. So I mean, that's a big problem, and I think the customer is very intelligent.
True.
We should be careful about what we speak and what we claim. A little bit knowledge of math would be good for marketing people if they can have that.
Yeah, business sense and
that sense.
And read the Excel sheet probably. But Excel sheet.
Yeah. Excel sheets are also boring, but the videos are very inspiring. I mean, the customer sees and they, okay, chalta hai.
Chalta hai.
Because there are many people who are able to claim more than what they can do. So that happens. So tech focus is really very important, even for the marketing people. And in our company, for example, one more thing is there. The tech people also sometimes train us ki ye mat bol kar aana. which is very important.
Don't overclaim.
Don't claim something which is. Sometimes we claim something which is technically not possible. Physics does not allow it, but you are claiming. So it does not work like that. So
no, I think there's a lot of echo that you're finding there because many of them would be facing this problem. So I'm glad you said this upfront like that. Let me come to Manoj Jain, please. You know, the academia industry interaction has also been a key, I would say, innovation, or to use Vrinda's words, disruptor. Because I think incubation of startups in IITs, for instance, or even other institutions of research and development, has seen success stories of late. I mean, she herself is probably incubated in IIT Delhi and IIT Bombay. The IIT Kanpur has several other things. I mean, you can name several of them. I know I meet a lot of those people. How has that helped in the sense of adding to your portfolio or basket of research, which helps companies like yours to outsource some problem statements and then get solutions from them? Has that helped really?
Yes, but not to the extent what it could have. Actually, all IITs, all NITs, etc., they are very great professors. And now their awareness of industry also is really good. Incubation centers are a bit different, because incubation centers are like, again, small startups within IIT.
Right.
They are already become a startup, so engaging with them was not a challenge, and tapping their potential is not a challenge. But tapping the large potential of the academia directly is a challenge. And for that, I think maybe Bell, as PSU, might have taken the largest advantage of that because of our ecosystem. Actually, we have to adapt to academia. It is not academia has to adapt to industry.
That's
we
well
have
said.
to adapt to academia. So how they work, what things will really interest them. They want to do some research, end up with some nice paper.
Right.
Or a nice IEEE transaction.
Sure, but it's...
Main aim is that, how to tap from that and convert into a real business world. For that, we have to sit with professors.
That's right.
Go and sit there. We should have our own cells there. Sit with professors, explain the problem, macro level only. Micro level, they are not interested in final business case and other things.
True.
How it will be useful.
Yes.
Understand what is the real thrill for them. Explain them that. They will do that portion. Sometimes they will come out with a good paper, definitely, of course.
Sure.
But they will give some MATLAB type of code.
Okay.
Take from that only. Don't expect them to prove on a piece of prototype or something. Tap from there and then convert it into a prototype ourselves.
And it's your job.
Sitting with them.
Then
That
it's
is
your
my
job. That's your job.
I have to go to them instead of waiting for them to develop some proto and other things, and then only I will say, yeah, it is having defense use case. So way of working has to change.
Sure.
Bell has understood that long back. That's why we have created an organization called CRL, Central Research Laboratory, where our scientists, they sit along with the professors and do that type of a research. And that has given us very good results in the last 20 years or so. So it depends upon what is the ecosystem of this tapping. Many of the IITs have now taken maybe retired officers from user community who understands what is required, or sometimes even industry experts also they have taken. But it will take some more time for that ecosystem to come up. It is more of our industry only has to go there and tap their potential.
Sure. Before I come to Vice Admiral Gormade, I have one more question. I mean, if these innovators are here, if startup ecosystem is here, I will come to you. Do they sort of have the avenue to approach Bell if they have some solution to come? Do you have some kind of a system there where they can get something out of Bell if they have some solutions to offer?
Definitely, yes. Firstly, IDEX also is one of the paths where Bell and HL, definitely we are owning this in letter and spirit.
Okay.
Totally owning.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. Then we have our own collaborative R&D setup.
Right.
And that collaborative R&D setup, we have empanelment of collaborative R&D who are interested to do R&D with us. We have one small, little bit bureaucratic, I should say, but that bureaucracy is filling of a few forms online only.
Okay.
And then we only approach them after they fill the form and then bring them to that level. Once that is done, our all R&D community within Bell knows their potential and which area we can collaborate with them.
Right.
Then our team only will approach those startups or other MSMEs and doing this joint R&D. And for this joint R&D, we have earmarked enough budget for that. So it is only what type of proposal comes after understanding that. And based on that, case-to-case basis, project-to-project basis, we are doing this type of a collaborative R&D. I can tell you, last year itself, almost around roughly 300 crore rupee worth of this type of collaborative R&D we have done this startups and MSME. This year we are going to increase only, we are not going to reduce it. So our target is around 300 to 500 crore through this type of a joint R&D with academia, startups, community.
That's good to know. A round of applause for him for this giving this kind of a thing. So, Vice Admiral Ghormade and Abhishek, you have a point to bolster on this before I go to him? Yeah, please go ahead.
So basically, I also wanted to add that now there is a Directorate of Futuristic Technology Management in DRDO,
Right.
which has DRDO Industry Academia Center of Excellence.
Sure.
So basically, previously the problem would be if I write a proposal jointly with IIT, they also come under GFR. They have to do an open tender and I cannot be selected. But now it is possible. So I think for us startups, if we can make collaborations with academia, they will bring the depth, we will bring the swiftness, and the DRDO and user will bring the breadth. So all the things can be taken care of. So we can put proposals, and it's a really good funding in DFTM. Thank you.
That's good to know. I'll come to you, AVM Rajiv. Admiral Ghormade, the Navy has been known to be a front runner in innovation, indigenization. We've had these organizations, and your history says that you took the lead among the three services. Also, this NIIO that the Navy has, and now, of course, you're out of the service, but you obviously have the idea of how the Navy does this. Has this new budgeting or allocation of funds, the new openness for dialogue between private sector, public sector and the users, has this helped accelerate acquisition or accelerate the implementation of plans that you have?
Yeah, excellent question. But what I want to say is that funds were always there. The additional funds added or zeros which was brought out doesn't really add. What is important is implementation. And implementation is based on the people running it. As long as you have committed leaders and committed people, system works.
Right.
And anything can be done, I think. And that's what was the thing which we did in 2022. That a team of DIO working with the service together, working day and night in IIT, having all the integration together, we could achieve what was there. So like the pace of execution, which Vrinda also brought out, I think that is what is required. See, if US can recognize and give a certificate in this manner, we should do it much faster than that for our own people.
Because we
I
have to
think
catch
that's
up.
where DIO has been working. But there are challenges. I'm telling you, the fact is that 90% of startups are not able to make it. It's only 10% make it world over. And these 10% we look at perfectly all right, success. But what have the 90% gone through? I think we need to look at that also. So therefore, there is a need. There is no dearth of funds, but there are funding issues with the startups. They are facing challenges. Right. That is, one is to get it into the IDEX, that is, they have to be a winner right in the beginning. And then once they have to develop a prototype. And after they develop a prototype, to make that prototype into product, they need the money. Like we may give 1.5 crores or 10 crores or 25 crores. The other part has to be brought up by the startup. And not all startups have got that balanced funds. And therefore, that is where I think we need to support them. And that is where I think like CMD Bell brought out the PSUs, the private sector, industry must come in and support the startups. Unless we support them, they will not be able to take up and they will not continue to have disruptive ideas which we want. And our disruptive ideas or disruptive things will only materialize when we develop them into products, bring it into the service, use that capability at a particular time and then see. So I think that's very important. So disruptive is required.
Yes.
So I also want to bring out in this thing, very important, that how will the startups and entrepreneurs know about the services? Like only till certain limit, like CMD Bell has opened a channel. But not everybody knows. Let's be very, very frank about it. Not everybody can reach, and there may not be not many people left here, but that how can they reach? So there has to be some amount of national R&D system.
Sure.
Like The ANRF is under Department of Science and Technology.
Right.
Now, Department of Science and Technology, and you see the charter of ANRF, not one word of defense is there. The word defense is not there in that at all.
Not in the NRF,
In
but
NRF.
certainly,
But,
yeah.
but now that doesn't mean defense is not included. The amount of defense R&D done is much more. Therefore, what we need to do, there are dual use things, agriculture, defense and health come together. And that comes out where the funding can be utilized. And therefore, that has to be utilized. So I don't think we have to worry about policies. There are good policies. The government is conducive. The MOD is acting in haste. IDEX, DIO, they are doing their job. But how everybody can come together as stakeholders and put your hearts together, synergize and make it happen. We have let things happen for many years now. Now it's time to make it happen. It is India's moment, I'm telling you. If we don't utilize this opportunity in this particular next 5 years, if we don't put all our startups, entrepreneurs who are there, they will be poached and taken away by the
That is one of
European
the
and
dangers.
US. And therefore, we should make sure they remain here, our brains and our thing remains here. And for that, it doesn't matter, with due regard to CMD Bell, the PSUs cannot look at their balance sheet of 31st March as importance. They have to look at what national capability we
Well, I'm
bring
sure
it.
he'll have a different thought, but we'll come to that.
So therefore, you have to look at the success and capability where a startup and entrepreneur is doing something, support him, come together, services come together, industry, academia, and the academia, there's lots we can do together. But why academia is not able to do? They don't know what their services want. So in the Navy, we started that INSTEP, Indian Naval Student Technical Education Program, where we have put them into for 6 months internship with us. They come and stay, the students. They know what is required. Now they can think and do research. So similarly, entrepreneurs will do. Similarly, PSU. So I think if everybody works together with one aim in mind, that national interest, that means my nation has to have the capability, then we'll succeed. The moment we have these vertical silos continuing, we will not be able to do that.
No, you're absolutely right. I think one absence here I feel is of a finance sector professional or a banker or a financer to tell us what are the problems that they face. But unless you have something to say what he said, and then I'll come to AVM, Rajiv, please.
So 2 points worth mentioning. One is now we are not only judged by only turnover. Our MOU parameter with our ministry has so many parameters, including R&D as one of the parameter, MSME's interaction. So many variable parameters are there. So we are evaluated for all. So as CMD, we have to look after all the aspects, not only turnover. Sir.
Okay.
I wanted to
right.
make it clear to you. Yeah.
No.
And second point, sir, what I feel, I have recently only seen this principal scientific advisor to Government of India. They have come out with a very good Manthan platform. That is similar to this IDEX type of thing only, where you face your problem is on the net. Now, different startups, innovators will come out and give the solution on that platform only. Then you select, and then there is somebody to evaluate. Like that, a good ecosystem they have made. Very recently only I have interacted. And I thought some learning is there for us. Can we make our IDEX also something similar to that Manthan type of platform? A digital platform should be available for this type of a collaborative R&D, where everybody should know who are what different type of stakeholders for this system. And the process also, selection process also is done there. I don't know very much of that because recently only I interacted, but first impression was really good about this Manthan platform. We have to further explore whether in that same platform, which is for S&T only, we can directly adapt or make our own Manthan equivalent for defense.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes forward, going forward. Before I open up, if there are questions to the audience, let me turn to AVM Rajiv. Now, the only man here was representative of the services, serving officer. So how does services look at this journey which has happened so far? Startup, IDEX, DIO, innovation, everything. Going forward, if you can give us a couple of points or 3 points on how do services look at it, and especially you're in a tri-service organization, if you can tell us that.
Till very recently, we were buyers. Now we have turned to support the R&D for last 4 to 5 years. And last 1 year, we have started looking as knowledge partner. wherein we are reaching out to the industry, to also to academia, saying, come interact with us, teach us in the newer domain, and we will also tell you what are our pain point. And for that task, you will not get too much of money, but the pain point, which is problem statement for you, and that is the business statement for you for tomorrow. This is what has started to happen. Indicative is a large number of MOUs armed forces are signing with various academia and industry. And the challenge for headquarter IDS is how do we synthesize all of them together and bring convergence. Of course, I like to say that 4 dreamers are required. Okay, yeah, 4 dreamers are required: user, scientist, industry, and also administrator. All 4 dreamers are more or less in place, and as a result, I feel IDEX would be the seed for something like what China has in 1980s Torch program, which is one of the best startup for China and generates almost as 20% of the GDP. And I feel IDEX would, by 2035, would generate as much as 5 to 7% of the GDP for India. The way we are trying, galloping with the approval process, contracting process, and the faith of the user, because it's very simple process, very user-friendly. Everything is, the process is absolutely bang on. Next is joint papers. You would find majority of the scientific paper is either written by one entity of academia, industry, or the user. When you have the joint paper, that means user, industry, and everybody sitting together, trying to deconstruct the problem and trying to find the solution together, you will find the success would be much better. Also, certification is going to be a challenge. The example is
testing and certification.
Testing and certification, because post-quantum cryptography, some of the industry came with PQC and QKD, and we are finding challenge. Eventually, from our office, we reached out to various ministries and department, including BIS and also the IITs. And now DRDO has come around and they've said, okay, they will work. So therefore, all the newer technology, how do you do the certification and testing? That has to be parallelly worked. Otherwise, just say to the armed forces, if you are happy, induct that technology. And I'll develop the testing process and the certification tomorrow. Also, as we go by, for TRL 1 to 3 to 4, until unless armed forces also are agreeing to join up, you will find still some amount of disconnect there. And at those level, you will not get substantial result the way you are looking till now of successful R&D or successful system. You would only get successful concept. At that time, the chances of failure would be very high. Success rate would be just around 30-odd%. So do we have appetite for those failures? Are policies aligned to look at those failure and regularize those failure? Those are the things we'll have to start working from now. Just for the information of House, based on certain directions, we are working on 2 supercomputers to be one public-facing, one classified one in the Bangalore somewhere. And whatever the government has spent on one of the supercomputer, the most powerful one, we are going to invest as much as 3 times of that money on one system. It'll be hexaflop plus those kind of a system. And we have made a recommendation. It should be open to startup, academia, and government department at no cost. It could be for the defense or even for non-defense system. And classified one would obviously be for purpose of the armed forces and DPSU to work onto that. So armed forces are also looking at how do we support galvanize. If we support, then we become technology leader. Until now, we are technology follower.
Right.
And our dream is next 10 years, we want to be technology leader.
That's very good to know. So on that cue, unless, are there any questions really from the audience here to this panel? Yes, certainly. So can we get a mic there to this? I will take two questions together, one there and one here. And well, okay. No, I think he raised the hand first here. So just give it to him. And then I'll go there and then come to you. Please introduce yourself and place.
Yeah, I'm the IG Taha. I'm looking after the maintenance fleet of the Indian Coast Guard. I'll just quote one example of one of the CEOs of BrahMos. In 2017, he was addressing the crowd. And he said so that we are very good in terms of the collaboration with foreign countries. But when it comes to the collaboration within India, very poor. And I'll give you a classical example. We have got an ALH Mark I, a proud product of HAL. In 2000, we had a problem with the vibrations. And we are in 2024, we still have got a problem. Professor Munjal from Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore, he was the head of the Department of Mechanical Engineering at that point of a time, and he said so, that HAL has approached to them to resolve this issue of the vibrations because they have approached to the DGCA for giving a certification in ambulance role. But sadly, that is not happening. Professor Mukunda, again a grand academia from the Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore, one of our colleagues have gone to go for the dissertation, he said to my colleague that just go to HL and pick up some problems. What are they bothering them? So that let's solve out, sit together. Now the issue here is that I think there is a demand in the sense, many theses, many dissertations are going on in the entire country. But what is missing is the link. I feel it so that the industry, whether it is BL, whether it is Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, they should come up in their own website where they should define the problems, where it is not only the bigger or higher institutes, but small institutes like, which is not
Smaller
as
towns,
premium.
yeah, in the smaller
So that
towns.
at least the things are available and they can approach and try to work out just like a subroutine program and a main program. So this is just a suggestion.
That's true. I will take responses later, but one question there. Can you take that mic there, please, right at the back?
Thank you. I'm Professor Ramakrishna from IIT Madras. One of the things that helps in collaboration is what the Army has done, the Army Technology Board. It's a very, very good program, especially for the academic institutions, because we find that there are such challenging problems that the academic institutions can take place. It can take place in academic institutions with the help of course, the startups and the MSMEs. But these are deep problems which require a lot of time, and that is something that the Army Technology Board has very well established. I would be happy if the Navy and the Air Force also do something similar, which will help them fund the academic institutions directly rather than otherwise.
I think we have a Tri-Services representative here. I'm sure he'll note this and take it to the people who take the decisions. So that is noted. The mic here, please.
Hello, I am retired Rear Admiral Shekhar Mittal, right? I am 65 years plus type, have seen enough of Navy, corporate world and outside.
Sure. Your mic,
right?
please. Yeah.
So, whatever Vice Admiral Gurumade was saying, music to the ears, right? Absolutely. He has presented the picture very rightly. I'll give you the other side of it still.
Sure.
Just a very limited point here. You know, once you go out to the CB street, there is no one from the industry who is going to wait to help you or wait to help any startup. So ultimately, you like it or not, it has to come from the government. Government, PSU, it is a one system, it can be decided, though it's not a very ideal system to look at PSUs, you know, they'll keep contributing to it. But the matter of fact is, I'll just give you, and before I say this, because I'll come on a little critical part of it, you know, I never thought I was a critic of IDEX because I was involved in the inception stages 2018. I always thought, you know, it is more of a optics than reality. But 5 years, 6 years down the line, what IDEX has achieved it, like a company like Rakisi Marine, a small company, has won the contract for making XL UUV. So we can dream that big, right? And that particular contract was being talked in the Navy in some other form, major submarine or so, for last 15 years, 18 years or so. And it is courtesy IDEX. Now we have started thinking of it and we can expand it to any level. But the small problem which I want to highlight, and first of all, I've said that this is all possible because of the IDEX only, right? But the matter of fact is, you see, this Aditi scheme is wonderful. We are saying 50% of the cost. 50% of the cost, I'll give you from the other side, right? We were all told that 25 crores will come from the IDEX. Now we are realizing 40% of the government fund will come after the project is all over. So from where are you going to raise that money?
Right.
And where it is something like government also, you know, fine print pe kahin pe likha hua hai, and this thing will be told to you after you're almost, you know, started celebrating, you won the contract. So probably I still feel, and this IDEX and particularly Aditi and all, they're very, very ambitious projects, and they can, very ambitious scheme, government is very supportive, MOD is very supportive, Navy is very supportive. We can probably, you know, do still better if some more funding can come, right?
So some tweaks are required there.
Still, there are a lot of tweaks are required.
Right.
And particularly those things can come better if you really, you know, talk to the people who are going through the pain. You see, once you go to the market to raise the funds, it's not easy. Everyone says, where have you reached?
Sure.
Right,
No, I think that is a practical problem, and I'm sure JS DDP Amit Satija is here. He's taking note definitely. So he will take it to the people who take these decisions. And we also have practical issues which the startups can face. One final question I'll take here. Sorry? There are two. Yeah, we are almost running out of time. So we have Narang here. And then because somebody else raised the hand, so that just the last two observations or questions, please.
Thank you, panel. I think quite enlightening deliberations. I'm Group Captain Narang from IDSA. My challenge is I've been studying drone sector. We have been developing drones. However, the critical component of the drones, we remain dependent, and there are vulnerabilities and unrealistic dependencies have been noticed. So development phase, some of these critical components, first is how this gap, which is a critical or vulnerable, continues to be a challenge. Secondly, in the procurement process, when these developers are developing those technologies, the QRs do not ask subsystem level components. And certification of indigenous components, all these people who have developed, they are certified for performance and not the indigenous content. So I think design certification is a challenge, and procurement of critical component in the procurement phase, I think needs a consideration.
I think it's well noted. Final thought there.
Hello. Yeah. Subodh Khanolkar here from behalf of the M part of MSME. I'll try to be very quick. We have been participating in several IDEX challenges so far. One problem that we face regularly is there's not much communication. Once we have submitted, our application, then the high-level presentation happens. We don't understand what's happening, and I can imagine, it's a new ecosystem, so it could be very challenging. But really, we could, as industry, as really the MSME part of it, we could benefit from some pointers from time to time, and even if we are losing out on challenges, some guidelines as to what was lacking in our proposal will really help us in subsequent cases. And just adding quickly, I know we are very short on time, just adding quickly a short example. Since 2019, we have been working with some DRDOs for ultra capacitors. In 2021, our ultra capacitors have been tested in high altitude areas for cranking of vehicles. Yet, subsequently, there was a challenge by ADB or a problem statement by ADB. We responded to that. There was some discussion that happened. Nothing further happened out of it. We published in the open challenge, no further communication on that. In DISC 11, there was a problem statement for that, published by AVNL. There was a presentation for that which happened in June, and today, I don't know whether we will be shortlisted for that, and if we don't get shortlisted, why we won't get shortlisted for that. So something like this, you know, there has to be, I believe, the industry is more than willing.
A real-time feedback system has to be there, I suppose.
Exactly.
That's what you mean to say. I'm sure people will take note of that. Quick responses from each one of you to what has been posed and final thoughts, because we've run completely out of time. So very briefly.
Yeah. No, just quickly I wanted to bring out, you had asked this question about NIIO and TDAC.
Right.
So the Navy has got a Naval Indigenization and Innovation Organization and Technology Development Acceleration Cell, which is working very closely with the industry, academia, and R&D. So constantly there's, in fact, we have a monthly interaction on every Friday, which interacts with the industry one-to-one on every particular project and etc. and explaining what is required, and therefore it goes down. And I mentioned about InStep. So this interaction is already going on to a great extent, just to clarify.
Sure. Any other thoughts?
Insofar as visibility in various problem statement, etc., IDEX in Aditi, their vision document, they have already articulated that they are working and some amount of money, 3% of the 750 crore, would be earmarked for technology watch tool, and that would be developed. And I wish the industry mapping, also the professors and various expert mapping also takes place along with that, so that it brings convergence among the various entity and visibility to all the people. All the services are pushing the paddle, going out to various universities. 2 days back, IDS was at IIT Delhi. 2 days back, on Friday. 2 weeks back, we were at IAC. So, and all the MTech programs which are going to happen and some PhD program in the future, they would be with the real challenges, so that they go research, partner with industry and develop that. Payment is generally linked to the milestone payment, sir. And IDEX has got the TDF releases you up to 90% of the fund money, but it's akin to, I colloquially say, mazak mein to the industry, it's a dowry. And with a dowry, you are not looking for living that life. It's for the IPR, the government is giving you money. It's not for the business. Business would be MOQ. Communication, sir, DAP has got enough provision for giving you a feedback at various time interval. And maybe if you read chapter 3 and chapter 2, you would find those timeline and request the service headquarter and the various entity to give you those timeline. And Narang, you have given the real challenge, because how do you do that design certification? While IMTAR, DDP, MAS, CEMILAC, DGQA, and all those agencies are coming up with new policy, but remember, we are in the transition period. We have just 2 to 3 years' time. And India, it takes, after articulation of the policy, implementation takes 2 years. We are still in the time of formulation and articulation in that midst time. So it will happen, just maybe another year or two, you'll have new book which will be talking the success story.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Abhishek, and then finally, final word to the lady, Vrinda. Yeah.
So for the funding part and the feedback part, for example, I think we got 9,000 applications in IDEX cumulatively. If we start giving feedback, I think the team would be 5 times the size which is currently.
Right.
I don't think we should give salaries to people for giving feedback. More challenges can come there. So that's one. Second, funding, you know, so again, I am a big votary of blaming myself. I mean, that is something. There are 2 things that are really challenging. One is the writing of good technical proposal, and similarly writing a good business plan.
Sure.
It really sometimes, I have helped many people writing proposals, and the proposals are so bad sometimes that the other guy is not able to understand what you want to say. I think maybe next training can only be on how to write a good proposal. I mean, that would be real good. How to maintain finances.
True. I think that's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
So we should
People
have
are not even able to maintain simple finances and bills, and then they expect the government to pay up just because they have said they have spent. I mean, it's wishful thinking. It would not. My father, auditor, he would never sign on my report card if I don't have good numbers.
No,
Giving money.
I
is
think
something
personal
that-
experiences count
yeah,
a lot.
they help a lot. So I think funding is a lot available. We are also going in round of funding. There is good traction. But the business plan has to be written properly,
Sure.
which is understandable by people. So I can help.
I think it's a great comeback there. Taxation also. Yeah, there are lots of things we can discuss. But Brinda, final word to you, and then I think we'll close here.
So I think the point on critical technologies has been well made, and we've been working on this with IDEX and with the PSUs for the last year now, sir. We're looking at, and I think here is where the services need to really play a role. Define the QRs of the critical components. Define the percentage of indigenous design that you're looking for in subsystems. We have done a phenomenal job the last few years of developing products. It is now time for us to develop technologies which become a part of products. It is a second tier of that role. So with IDEX and IDEX's support, Ministry of Defense's support with the PSUs, we've started that mapping exercise. So some 1,600 components have been mapped out, and we are working on an indigenization plan. But more need to come out. And the services need to be willing to call out those PSQRs in an RFP, in the large RFPs, not just the IDEX proposals.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to end this discussion. A round of applause for my fellow panelists. I think their insights have been great. Thank you very much, this audience. I know we are at the fag end of the program, and still I can see lots of enthusiasm and participation. So thank you, all of you, for being great participants and an audience here. I think over to the MC here now.
Thank you to all the panelists for a wonderful session, and thank you to our esteemed moderator for moderating the session more wonderfully. As a token of gratitude, we would like to present the mementos to a panelist and moderator. I request Joint Secretary, DIP, Shri Amit Satija ji, to please come on stage to kindly present the mementos to our esteemed panelist and moderator. A huge round of applause. A huge round of applause, everyone. I once again sincerely thank all our panelists and our esteemed moderator. I sincerely thank our guests and students who have stayed back for making our panel a more around success. A huge round of applause for yourself, everybody. Thank you so much. I request everyone may now please proceed for high tea.